Yep, everything's good on me for Twitch.
Alright, Novaura, if you want to join the Marathon Live Twitch channel,
Alright,
Dale will follow you.
absolutely. Wish me luck.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Alright. Oh, excellent. So, thanks so much for, first of all, inviting me to be a part of this awesome Marathon Dale. It's an honor to be here. And hello to all of the audience currently watching on the North American Speedrunners Association channel, as well as on my own personal Twitch channel. I am Novaura, and I will be playing for you a game that really is shocking when it comes to speedrunning, because everyone that I've told that I do this for speedrunning has told me that's a thing. And yes, it is. Since I've been doing this since last year, for Final Fantasy XIV, I've been setting a whole bunch of records in some of the categories. I do it in the traditional category, which is a light party consisting of a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS. But tonight I'm going to be getting a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be attempting to do all these dungeons solo. Now what that means is that I will be doing these dungeons for 2.0 without restrictions. I'll be doing them all on my own at my full power, and you will get to see how that will unfold. There will be a total of 13 dungeons for me to take on during the course of the next hour or so. So we're going to go ahead here in the inn in the city of Gridania and make my way over to the inn keep, and we're going to go ahead and take the opportunity to book ourselves a room, because it'll help with load times, which is of course important for speedrunning. So also, I'll point out as well that the class that I'll be playing as for all of you tonight will be Red Mage, which is regarded as the best, not only the best speedrun class in the game, but also currently the best class of anything currently available. Red Mage specifically is a spell sword, meaning not only do I use spells, but I can also use this fancy sword for you, and this little thing floating above my head basically serves as the way I cast magic. So just before we get started, I'm going to make sure I get my final preparations complete, make sure that everything is the way I want it to be, and then we will go ahead and get started. Don't worry, that's going to reset as we get started. So let's go ahead and set ourselves up for undersized party. That will allow me to run these dungeons solo. So we're going to be running every dungeon from Sestasha, which is a level 15 dungeon, the first dungeon you play in the game. And we're going to go all the way down to the Wanderer's Palace, the first level 50 dungeon. So those are my 13 dungeons. And so let's go ahead and get started with Sestasha. So time will start on the clock when the words "Duty Commenced" appear on screen, and that is when I will have first control within the dungeon. So starting off here in Sestasha, we're heading off to a pirate hideout. And for those of you hoping for Captain Jack Sparrow, no luck, unfortunately. But there'll be no lack of animals for us to kill. If you love Super Metroid, you're going to love the fact that we kill the animals here. Just getting ready and go. Alright. So we're going to start off by killing these bats, and we're going to use some specific abilities, namely Core a Core and Displacement. Core Core is my dash attack that I can use with my sword, and Displacement allows me to backflip, like so. I'll also be using abilities like Moulinet, which are my ability that allows me to do attacks on multiple enemies if they're close enough. I'm also going to use Contra 6, which is a flashy ability that you might not have been able to see how it looked quite there, but our main priority here in this area is to try and kite the enemies, but also try and make sure that we minimize our kiting. Because the less enemies we have to kite, the better when we get to the first mini-boss area. Yeah, Yeah, these things are everywhere, and we're just gonna have to deal with it as best we can as we make our way to the end of the area. So now we have to let everything come to us, and as we do, you'll notice that there's some glowing coral here. Now we need to pick one of these three and hope that we get it right. If we get it right, we'll get access to a panel that will allow us to fight the first boss. If not, then we get poisoned and we have to fight another enemy. So this is pure RNG. This dungeon, Sestasha, is one of 2 dungeons that is wholly RNG dependent on whether or not you get a good speedrun or not. And since we're so overpowered, that also means we can take Chopper here and kill this cat in one shot. With him out of the way, we can now move on. So yeah, you'll also notice that my sprint ability does have a cooldown timer on it, so we do have to take that into consideration. You can also kill these dogs. So you're probably wondering, where are the pirates? Well, here's the pirates. So we're gonna go ahead and actually slash them all together so that I can try and get them all at once. So once we get Captain Madison here to half health, he starts making a break for it. This is the first of 2 times we actually have to confront him. I also have an ability called Swift Cast that allows me to kill enemy enemies that are close by real quick with a properly timed cast. Guess I won't be allowed to pick this item up until I kill everything. Yeah, and that is a challenge as well, trying to get rid of something while also trying to pick something up. Because any attack that gets on you when you're trying to interact with something will automatically prevent you from picking it up. So now we can run back after we picked up the key. Yeah, we do need to pick up a few of these. And hit these 2 with my Contra 6 to kill them off real quick. And away we go. Now I gave myself a little bit of an energy boost there with an ability called Manification. Now this time we're just going to go ahead and dash with Core right into the captain and force him to run. Now what I'm not showing you is actually an instance. I mentioned Super Metroid where they like to kill the animals in speedruns. Well, what I didn't show you is that there actually is a way, once you defeat Captain Madison the way we are, to save animals. Which I know what you're thinking, like, what? Yeah, that is a thing. So, now we've made it to the first mini-boss, or the first final boss here in Sestasha. It's basically the Final Fantasy XIV version of a Zora from The Legend of Zelda. So, he's taken care of, and once we get rid of everything else, that'll take care of those guys. So that's our first of 13 dungeons down. Now let's make our way to Tamtara Deepcroft. Tamtara Deepcroft is one of the few dungeons in the game that really is in line with the storyline of this game. Because anyone who knows Final Fantasy XIV in its original form basically knows it as the Sonic 06 of the Final Fantasy XIV universe. And so the way they symbolically ended the original Final Fantasy XIV was done in such a way that they wanted that to be tied in with some of the content in this game. And so they gave us a place like Tamtara, where all the people here are worshippers in a cult. And it's a really weird cult, too. But cults are always weird, though. That's not surprising, ever. Now, this is one of the rare instances where we're trying to avoid kiting. If we can avoid kiting as much as possible, we'll be in good shape. So now I'm going to set this up to try and kill these guys off as fast as I can. And hope that we can touch this. Ah, not quite. Didn't quite get that one. Yeah, they were a little too close. Now, one enemy that I'm going to hopefully possibly gets. Well, actually, he walked away, so we won't have to worry about him, which is good. Alright, I've got those guys chasing me, though. No matter, we'll still use Contra 6 on these guys, and then wait for everything to come in and say hello. Alright, they're all dead. Yeah. You also notice we're touching these orbs. These are required to advance further, because they're needed in order to gain access to the final boss. Oh, how convenient of you. How convenient of you to set those up for me. Alright, so the enemies that I really need to worry about killing are the varlets, because they're ranged magicians, and if I don't kill them, they're going to give me problems right away because I won't be able to kill them when everything is done kiting. So yeah, the less mages I have to deal with, the better. Alright, now let's get over to here. Kill everything in one Contra 6. Bam! Pick up the rosary in time. Got it. And that means I can just, well, almost wipe the floor with the Yarzons. But no matter, we will get him, as well as everything else. Yeah, sometimes they just won't be polite. Alright, let's get everything over here. And then cut you down. Cut you down. Ah, I was about to say he survived, but nope. He tricked me. So now we're going to take out the last two orbs. Now it's important I kill this final boss here in one shot. If we don't, he'll gain some invincibility from some imps that will appear on screen. So this needs to be one shot. And it is. We got it. Alright, moving on now to dungeon number 3, Copperbell Mines. Now, Copperbell Mines is a stark contrast from what we've already seen. Tamtaro is actually one of the shortest dungeons we'll be seeing, but Copperbell is actually the longest, because of the mini-bosses that we have to confront, which take a lot of time. All those enemies are actually working out quite nicely, maybe? Might be able to kill them in one fell swoop with a spell? Well, they're down. Then we'll kill off the Goblin. Yeah, we needed to kill these enemies in order to pick up the key that they had. That'll now allows us to gain access to the blasting door, and now we can start taking the first of 2 elevators. So now we chill out for a little bit before we unleash ourselves on the enemies that are coming up. Yeah, and here's where we're going to use our sprint option. And we'll just use it as much as we can. Yeah, we actually had some instances where enemies did not spawn. Yeah, I'll take the move off of that. Yeah, this is a long run here to get to something that we need to interact with. You'll see it says 6-ounce pinches of fire sand. And yeah, they do spell ounces in a weird way. A lot of things get spelled in a weird way in this game. And we'll go ahead and finish you guys off. Haha, snatched it before you could stop me. And then we'll use our moves to get over to our next area. So here's where we get our next pinch of fire sand. And now it's just a matter of getting over to the powder chamber to put it into the device. And now we can pull the trigger. Alright. Now here's why people don't like this place as a speedrun. This first mini-boss is not actually a mini-boss, it's more of an enemy gauntlet. Enemies will come out at various intervals, and we have to wait for them to appear before we can actually start doing anything. And they'll come from all directions, too. I want to try and time it so we can try and kill multiple enemies at once. They'll start coming out one at a time from the various directions, these Spriggans, but then they'll start coming out two at a time. Like so. So since it's going to take us a while for us to kill these Spriggans, we might as well go ahead and talk about the various classes that are part of this game, because I'm sure a lot of you will have questions. As it stands right now, there are actually a total of 15 classes in this game that are available to get to level 70. And there are a total of 3 tanks, those being Paladin, which is a sword and shield, Dark Knight, which is a longsword, and the Warrior, which is an axe wielder. Then there are also 3 healing classes, which are White Mage, as well as Scholar, and also Astrologian, which is a fancy healer that uses tarot cards. And then there's a whole bunch of DPS classes, including Red Mage, of course, which was introduced in the current expansion of Final Fantasy XIV, which is what I'm playing, which is Stormblood. And there's also the other DPS to come out of this expansion was Samurai. And then there is another expansion exclusive called Machinist, which is a gunner. And then there are all the classes that are available through playing the original 2.0 Realm Reborn, which is what I'm playing. And those being the Monk, Monk, Black Mage, as well as Dragoon, Bard, Ninja, Summoner is also really popular. Trying to think if I've covered everything. Yeah, I think my audience will tell me if I've missed anything. So now we have to start getting the enemies to come my way, if they'll just hold still. But that one may actually be, yeah, too close. So yeah, I've gotta go to a backup strat there to backflip off and get the fire sand. Oh, hello there, Copper. Yeah, hey there, Copper. I might as well kill you since you're so close by. And now we do just like we did before. Put fire sand in the powder chamber and hit the trigger. And away we go. So now here is the most annoying boss of the entire run, the Icarus Ire, because how this normally works is you're supposed to use these blasting devices to summon bombs, and the bombs will you actually have to make the bombs detonate on the enemy here to get it to separate into multiple versions of itself. But we're actually going to do a bit of a phase skip here. We're actually going to drain him to a bit of a where he's close to being dead, and then once we've done that, then we'll trigger the bomb. So getting close here. Okay, that should be enough. Now we have to hit the blasting device to trigger the bomb to appear. There it is. Oh, I fear that's going to be a bit too close. It was. Crap. Yeah, the blasting cap got a bit too close there. Well, I guess we'll just have to do this the old way. Which is to draw the fires over here. And we'll get another bomb to appear. So since we're now in phase 2, what's going to happen is that we're going to have Spriggans appear to try and kill the bombs for us, but we don't want the bombs to die. So now the bomb explodes. The slime breaks into 4 pieces. And now we have to do this one more time. You can see why this, because of the tedium that's associated with these 2 mini-bosses, why it's not a very popular place for trying to get a quick run. Because it does take as long as it does. Got him down. And now we just chill out and wait for the blasting cap to do its thing. Alright, it's set to blow. And now we can actually legitimately damage these 8 Ichthyer and kill them all at once with a Conscious 6th. So that takes care of that. So the rest of this is actually rather easy. Yeah, now that we're past the tedious parts of the dungeon, now we can move on to the best part. Yeah, now we can really go for it. So we're gonna have to, on the way, kill these Hippocerts, because these things can actually slow me down if they're not killed immediately after I beat the boss. So yeah, it's a precautionary measure. As we arrive at the final boss. He's called Gygus the Great, but since I'm playing on solo, he's not so great. Killed in 1 hit. And it looks like you guys escaped, so that takes care of you. Alright, takes care of that one. So, I mentioned that Sastasha was our first RNG-dependent dungeon. Here's the second, Halatali. Thankfully, there are no more RNG-dependent levels after this one. So, it'll certainly be a sigh of relief for sure. For the first part, though, we can just run free. Our biggest worry will be when we get to the boss itself. And so away we go. I'm gonna just intentionally ignore these guys. And get to that heckler rimp. Now we can just start seeing an opportunity to kill more enemies through the means that we have. And the further I get away from them, the better. And use the Conscious 6 to just deal with those guys. Now, if my lead is big enough, hopefully I will be able to one-shot this boss. If we don't one-shot him, we could be in trouble. Thankfully, I did one-shot him. And I can escape through this ethereal flow, and we can just move on. Alright, so here's where the RNG dependency comes in, is on using these chain winches. When we hit a chain winch, one of 3 different things will happen. So let's find out. Okay, now if we get a gas bomb, that's actually good. We don't have to worry that much. A gas bomb is not that much of a worry. Wow, I'm actually shocked that I did not get these guys to move. It's like, what were you waiting for? I'm right here. So the other 2 things that can spawn is a treasure chest and 3 lightning sprites. Now the bomb and the treasure chest, no big deal. That's fine. It's the lightning sprites, though, that can give us an issue. Because they are a mage enemy, we have to deal with them no matter what if one spawns. Oh, can we get lucky with the kill shot? Nope. And I think I'm far away enough that I can... Okay, so yeah, here's the lightning sprites. I might as well just kill you 2 since you're conveniently here. Alright, follow me. You know, just kill these pythons before we hit the next winch. Alright, hit the next one. Alright, treasure chest, no problem. Now, it is possible to hit this final winch without getting aggro from those 3 enemies on the left. We'll see if I do or not. Alright, don't need to worry about that bomb. we're free to go. Now I'm also going to need to try and one-shot this upcoming mini-boss here, because if he survives this, then he can go invincible. But it doesn't happen like that. We're free to go. And then it's pretty straightforward for the rest of this. We can kill that one guy, and it looks like we're gonna have to fight off the rest of these things because of the way they're positioned. RNG can really slow you down depending on where the enemies are. It can either be beneficial to you, it can just not work in your favor. So that just leaves us with a clear run to the final boss, Tangata, who, much like his early brethren, is going to get one-shotted, because we are strong enough to be able to do so. He also has invincibility if you cannot kill him in one shot. He can protect himself with a ring of fire. Yeah, cue Johnny Cash. Alright, 4 down, 9 to go. Next up, the 1,000 Maws of Totorak, which, in addition to being a mouthful, is also an abandoned prison. So yeah, this place is going to be quite a bit of fun, because, especially at the end, is going to be quite ridiculous. And one of the things we absolutely have to do here is obtain these photo cells. These photo cells are required for gaining access to the boss. And we have to get at least 4 of them. I don't think those 2 are close enough. Yeah, we could only get 1, but that's fine. Because that just means that when these things are able to get close enough to me... Oh, wow. I must be scaring these things off or something. They want no piece of me tonight. Yeah, usually they're just jumping right in. Yeah, usually they're just can't wait to get a piece of me. So we'll take out these louses so I can get the next photo cell. Then we'll get him. And backflip off you. Now these guys I'm going to have no choice but to pull, because they are just not in a convenient spot for me to be able to avoid them. So now here's our 4th and final cell. We'll go ahead and take it and put it into this Magitech terminal. But we can't use it right away because we got to deal with the boss first. But he's an easy one-shot with my power. So now we put the cells into the terminal, which will deactivate that barrier right there. Now here's where things are going to get fun. I need these things to follow me. And they're going to follow me for a while. Basically, these Warden's Whips are now the way I get photo cells for the second part of the dungeon. I can also use this Prison Pudding as my way to boost further along. Yeah, not all of the whips have the photo cell. Each group only has one that has it. Now that I've got everything the way I need it to, go ahead and bunch everything up. Now I can start trying to get photo cells before the next group comes in. Cut them down, take their cell, and then get this one. And away we go off to the next section. So we're going to now be dealing with... Yeah, you saw that suction there? That's the web actually closing behind me. That's an interesting little thing that they do with some of the webs in this dungeon, is that when you have an open one, if you get too close to it, you then get sucked through, and then it closes behind you. I'm gonna take you guys out quickly, then hope that you 3 are closest to my Contra 6. Ah, you troll. then take this photo cell because we can't get it through the way that we've been doing it in section 2. So now it's just us running back to the terminal, and we repeat what we did in phase 1. See ya! Go ahead and collect the cells for the terminal, and away we go. So now, here's the fun part. Trudging through all this slime here. This slime is really a pain in the butt. What's also a pain about are these fleshy pods that explode when you get too close to them, because then they'll poison you. But if you're really fortunate and you have the right abilities, you can actually backflip off of them, and in some instances it actually causes enemies not to spawn, because in some instances, like you see here, they will. Yeah, ultimately we don't want to deal with these guys if at all possible. So now we're running into some cleaner areas, but still a lot of slime to deal with. As this area gets real tight and very narrow. Alright, now I have my sprints. So if all goes well, I should be able to get to the door that's ahead of me without getting attacked. Hopefully it'll work out that way. Got it. Alright, that'll leave us a clean line, so to speak, to get to the boss, because we still need to deal with more of these things. Alright, let me see if I can... Nope, didn't work. I was trying to get the backflip off of him. It is possible to do that, but it's very rare. Alright, just finish you guys off behind me. Then make our way to the boss, who will also get one shot. We do still have to kill these things before we're free to go. And so that takes care of them. Alright, moving on now to our 6th dungeon, the stereotypical RPG haunted house, Hawk Manor. And what's really interesting about Hawk Manor, aside from being a haunted house, is that the final boss here is a boss that is one of the situations that's very rare in this game where they have a legitimate backstory. You'll need to play the game for yourself, or at least watch me have played it before to know what the backstory is. But it is a very tragic tale, and it does not end well for the final boss. So I'm gonna get all 3 of you to come my way, hopefully. Yeah, I'm very shocked by the fact that these enemies are not going on aggro the moment that they notice me. I can tell you, like, from personal experience, this does not typically happen. Looks like we spawned more enemies than we had intended, but that's alright. We can just do this. Then unlock the door. Yeah, there's another enemy over there, but we're going to ignore it. We don't need to kill it. Now I can start dashing again. Ooh, these maidservants are really close. Now they'll make for a fun time when we get to this first mini-boss here. Now just get everything together. And they're all gone at once. One fell swoop. So we needed the boss's key. Oh, will I not get noticed? Awesome. Alright, so yeah, the keys are important here, but aside from the green key and the yellow key, which are required items within the dungeon, we only ever need 2 more. We picked up one earlier on, and here's the second mandatory. And now we're free to go the long way around, because we can't just go and open this door. We have to find the key, but we have to take the long way around, because if I went to the right, there would have been a roadblock, which would not have been helpful. Oh yeah, I'm sneaking up behind her. Yeah, no remorse, no mercy. Yeah, I'm gonna get fancy on you and just take you out with my displacement. Yeah, I knew it was gonna stop me from doing what I needed to do, so... yeah, preemptive strike launched. We'll go ahead and pick up the yellow key here. And now we can make our way to mini-boss number 2. Yeah, there's the roadblock I mentioned. And now all we have to do is open the door. And take on not one, but 2 mini-bosses. Yeah, so this is one of the rare instances where I actually have to deal with the enemies putting up an actual fight. Now, we would normally have to go and go back the way we came, but thanks to an ability called Return, which you do get when you start playing the game, it'll just, in this instance, Return takes you back to the start of the dungeon. In other instances, when you're not in dungeon, it will take you back to your home point. So that is a helpful ability in more ways than one. Oh wow, we just one-shot this Manor Sentry. Yeah, we need to get him to half health in order to get the boss, Lady Amandine. So, yeah, this is the girl with the tragic tale, and she just got one-shotted. Oh wow. Yeah, take care of that real fast. Alright, moving on now to Brayflox's Long Stop. Located within a jungle environment. And so yeah, now we're going to be going back to killing the animals again. We're all set to go, so first priority for me to do is kill these Galagos because they don't attack up close, they throw stuff at you, so we need to get rid of them as quickly as possible in order to have the best chance of being able to gain access to this Goblin Pathfinder. Now, goblins by and large here in this game are actually on your side. And so, in this dungeon, the reason you come here is actually to gain something that they have. Now, once we get rid of these colibri, these birds, we're free to go ahead and open the door, say hello to this boss, and just one-shot the guy. Yeah, there was actually a situation when I did not want to one-shot him. It is possible for him to survive, but yeah, in that situation, we actually did not want him to die in one hit. Now, since these Comet Chasers are in the way, I'm going to have no choice but to fight them. But they may be the only things I have to fight. So now we're coming up to another mini-boss, which is actually 2 things. The first being this Inferno Drake. And then, this Tempest Bias also comes in. Yeah, you know, you're wondering what was going on there. There was actually, the namesake of this dungeon was also part of the mini-boss. She's basically there just to draw attention to herself, and she actually, in some instances, can work against you. Because she'll do random stuff that ends up putting the enemy's attack in the line of fire, and you don't want that. So now we have to deal with this Hellbender here, and we're just going to go ahead and dispose of him right away because, yeah, now comes in a big ugly dragon, who's actually the final boss. And now, since it's going to take a while for him to fly away, that gives us a perfect opportunity to kill off the enemies that were chasing us. So once that's taken care of, we can move on. Go ahead and open this door. And now it's just a matter of us getting to where we need to go. Yeah, just hit that in the face, and now the green dragon that decided to crash the party at the previous mini-boss will now be confronted here. So once we get into his range, 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, and that's it. Now what normally happens under synced rules, under normal rules in this dungeon, is that when he gets to a low enough amount of health, he can actually vomit on the field of play, and if he's standing in his own vomit, it actually heals him. So yeah, fun thought, huh? Alright, next up. A journey Indiana Jones style to the Sunken Temple of Karn. Yeah, this place is home to a whole bunch of treasure, but we won't be needing much of it. Yeah, we won't need much where we're going. So yeah, we start in the darkness and then we emerge. I'm gonna see if I can ignore those bats altogether. Because yeah, I don't need to worry about the bats in this dungeon as much as I need to worry about the bees, because the bees have a kamikaze move called Final Sting that will take off a lot of health from me. So yeah, I really need to make sure that those bees are dead, or else I am in big trouble. Yeah, and under normal rules, if those bees use Final Sting, it's basically 1 shot. So we do not want them to be using Final Sting on us. The sooner we can get them out of our way, the better. So now we're going into a situation where not only do we have to kill the bees, but we also have to deal with some mechanics with these stones in the back, these avoirdupois. Once I get in range of attacking it, that avoirdupois there has to stay where he is. If he doesn't, that's actually bad for us, because they're meant to be on those glowing orange pedestals, and if they're not on them, then they just revive. So we don't want that here. Yeah, the less we have to worry about the avoirdupois, the better. Under normal circumstances, we would actually have to kill the avoirdupois that were there, but we don't need to in this run. Because they actually have, they can actually open up rooms that have key items that we actually need, but we don't need them here. And as for this Temple Guardian, we had to break his Soul Stone and actually able to legit damage him, which we did, and then we one-shotted him. So yeah, yay us! So after going back underground, now we're going back above ground. It looks like they're gonna move in a fancy way. Alright, so now I need to actually physically get this avoirdupois to stand where I need him to. And once he does that, we're free to go. Yeah, see if I can't thin the numbers a little. Get the avoirdupois to come my way. Alright, let's load up. That takes care of them. And now we're into the final part of the temple. Just have to clear the enemies that are here. Yet they seem to be reluctant to fight, so... Oh, yeah, now that... Yeah, I say that and then they actually say, change their mind. So we took the Scales of Judgment. Since we didn't get any of the treasure that those avoirdupois were containing, we now just fight these three things. And they do keep their distance, so we do have to take them out one at a time. That leads us to the final boss known as the Adjudicator, and he is going to get wrecked. And so with that now taken care of, next up is Cutter's Cry. Desert labyrinth, as it were, where we constantly go through, I don't want to call it quicksand, they call it shifting sand, but the way it acts, it might as well be quicksand. So for the first two sections, we're pretty much at the mercy of dealing with 2 sets of 4 here in the first section, and then it becomes 3 and 5 in the second. So we get all the enemies, these Myrmidon sentries, these ants, to come my way. Except it seems they're too shy. So that brings out the second set of enemies. Hopefully we can get them right where I want them. Alright, taken care of, and off to shifting sands. So yeah, there's our quicksand. So I said before, we got to do this again now with 3 and 5. Are they close enough for multiple hits? Not quite. And now we gotta bring more ants our way. Yeah, everyone jump in. And there we go. And now up to section number 3. It's just basically us going to be dashing through and trying to kill the boss as fast as possible so that we can avoid having to deal with the enemies that are tailing us. So we gotta take out this Myrmidon princess here. She's taken care of in 2 hits, and we're moving on. Yeah, now we're gonna start running into situations where we cannot just one-shot everything. So we'll have to do the best we can to kill as much as we can as fast as possible without getting the business from all these enemies that are kiting us. Oh wow, I see that Sabotender, also known as a Cactuar, tailing me here. We just got the escape there. Excellent. So now we got to do that again. Now the path I'm going left then right is the preferred path of doing this section here. So now we just step through another set of quicksand. Yeah, we're getting a lot of quicksand on our little outfit here. So now, gotta deal with this worm. Yeah, maybe a spell will put you out. There we go. And now we're into the creepy part of Cutter's Cry. Now we're in a cave area. We're going to have to kill pretty much not everything we see, but eventually we will have to once we take out the boss. Because that's basically how it's been going throughout the entire run. Now beginning our descent. Yeah, lots of things are going kaboom right now. Yeah, that does help give us a bit of breathing room. Plus, we'll be in the perfect opportunity to unleash our strongest attacks when we get to the final boss. So I'm actually going to run by these two since they actually did not do aggro. That does not happen often. Alright, so we made it to our final boss, the Chimera. And he goes down in 3 shots. Bye by me. Oh, not gonna die on a basic group attack? Fine. Yeah, if that's how it's gonna be. Alright, that's 9 down. We're down to the final 4. Next up is the Stone Vigil. So yeah, you've seen us killing a lot of animals so far during this run. And, well, that's going to take it now to the mythical aspect here in Stone Vigil. Because in this place, it's all about the dragons. In all sorts of shapes and sizes for your viewing pleasure. So, I recently came upon a trick that I'm hoping that I'll be able to use in this run. We'll see if it works or not. I'm going to use this guy to backflip off of. Yeah, the moves that I'm using for core and displacement are actually being done in specific ways here. And it's to set me up with the best possible result for when we get close to the final boss. Is it gonna come after me? Yes, it will. Alright. That's fine. We can just take on then the dragon that has the closest name to a Pokemon in Shudo-Yudo. Yeah, I've always referred to that enemy as like a name knockoff of Pseudo-Wudo. Alright, I have my dash. We'll go ahead and use it. And backflip off of this guy. Yeah, now we're really going to be relying heavily on our swordplay. Yeah, we won't be able to kill everything here with what I've got, but we will be able to weaken them enough, and it's going to be important later on. Now we gotta deal with Koschei here. Yeah, dragons in this place have weird names. Alright, so that actually works very well. I was hoping for a 2-shot. I got 2-shot. Now here's where things are going to get really fun. I want to core to this guy. Now, where are these things set up? Ooh. Alright, I'm going to see if I can outrun these guys and open the escape before I get attacked. Got it! That works perfectly. I will take it. Alright, Iskabine. Let's dance. So, since Iskabine has to fly away once you've damaged him enough, that just gives us a perfect opportunity to just stand here and kill everything. Now watch them all go down. And then we can just use that. And there we go. Yeah. The big ugly blue dragon and his friends are out like a light. And now off we go to dungeon number 11, Zamel Darkhold. So this cave is actually quite interesting because it's another mechanic-heavy dungeon. But they're also, it's one of the rare instances where we can actually legitimately skip enemies. But that doesn't happen until part 2 of this dungeon. So we really want to hope that the RNG works out favorably here as far as the placement of the enemies, because if it doesn't, then it's going to set us back a bit. Now, optimally, we want to make it to the first key area as fast as we can. And no backflip off of the soul here. Yeah, I didn't quite kill him, but we don't need to. So here's where the mechanic is going to be important. We have to run over to where this is. This Magitech terminal. And now, we just start spamming spells because we have to wait for this thing to count down. And once it counts down, then we're free to go. I also want to make sure that those enemies that are on the right here stay alive. Namely this mole. Alright. Because then I have my core that I can just use to dash and get into the next section. And the reason why we need everything to happen quickly is because of that all-seeing eye. That's actually the boss, but we cannot damage him until we can actually confront him in the first mini-boss section. What we'd like to see him do is go over as quickly as possible, and that's about as good as I can hope for. Yeah, if you leave him for too long, he'll start flying further away, which will take a lot longer. And that's not good. Alright, so what I'd optimistically like to see here is an opportunity to get the... First of all, we need to get the all-seeing eye into this purple light. If he's not in the purple light, he cannot be damaged. And then backflip off of him and hope he dies, and he does. Saves us a couple of seconds of running. Now here's where it starts to get fun. Here's where the enemy skip in this dungeon is, but it has to be done in a certain way. And we also have to deal with these nicks. If we don't deal with these nicks, they'll actually be a problem later. So here's where the enemy skip is. I could have just gone right through all those enemies, but it turns out, yeah, there was a Nyx actually tailing me after all. There's a total of 3 of them, and if they get an opportunity at all, they'll use Sticky Tongue, which will launch you right back into them. Which is bad. And can just really slow you down. Yeah, optimally, we want to try and avoid the Nyx as much as possible, but since it turns out one was hiding, we're going to have to put up with him too. Alright, so let's get everything over. Yeah, there's the Sticky Tongue I was talking about. Not only do we have to deal with these enemies that I kited, but also boss. Let's see what you do with this. Oh, you gotta hold out a little while longer, huh? Very well then. Yeah, having the hidden Nyx get the aggro on me did not help. Now, I want to stay into this again, so we have to repeat the phase and the process that we did in part 1. But I actually want to keep these enemies alive this time. Because they'll be perfect for me to use for a backflip with displacement when this goes down. Wait for it to go. There it is. We're free to go because the second one's over here. And now we can just start spamming magic like this on Novaura. Need to take these guys both out. Well, it actually helped out that I got a little extra magic there. Alright, now I can do this. And now let's hope we can be able to pull off a little speed trick here to save myself from a bit of a headache afterwards. So if we go to the mini-boss patrol now, we want to try and kill him as quickly as possible, because if we don't, he will go invincible. Alright, kill him, kill him, kill him. And got it. Yeah, he was about to charge up those corrupted crystals over there, and if he succeeded, he would have gone invincible. So, yeah, it's one of the few instances where you can actually prevent a boss from making themselves go invincible. We have shown off some others, but that one by far is the hardest. So next up is the dungeon that no one in this game likes. A cave called Aurum Vale. And the reason why no one likes this dungeon is because to this day, even after this game's been available now for 6 years in its current form, people still rage quit on a regular basis. And it's all because of the first area. First area has so many enemies that are so close together that it is so easy for a regular party to get caught in aggro by enemies that they didn't want, and it just causes a whole chain of misery, and eventually you get overwhelmed, and it's just a total mess. Thankfully though, since we're doing this the way we are, we don't need to worry about that. We will, however, stop to dispose of the first mini-boss here, which we now have, and we're free to go. So yeah, we don't need to worry about the enemies attacking us. We'll be fine. But I do need to deal with this Morble fruit. This Morble fruit will spawn into things like this. Yeah, you guys are familiar with the iconic Marlboros in previous Final Fantasies. They're known as Morbles in this game, but they still have that iconic bad breath that can just absolutely ruin you. and it is not fun when you get it. So now we're off to the coin counter here, which is our next boss. We're gonna make him come this way. And he can bring all his little friends. And we'll try and get them all taken out as fast as we can. Oh, it got knocked back, but that's okay. Once we get this taken out, hopefully we can eliminate him before paralysis goes into full effect. Alright, at least we have no more enemies tailing us now. Now, if we're lucky, which sadly we aren't, that seems to be happening a lot in this run. It is possible to get around those enemies and not get aggroed by them. So now we have to repeat what we did before with the Morbles / Marlboros. And we have to get rid of 2 of them now. Yeah, I'm gonna have you come over there and I can just do that. Yeah, lay waste to a whole bunch of you real quick. Get off some of the other enemies here. Some endured, though. Alright, now we have a Morbol as our final boss. Let's see if we can get rid of it in a hurry. That's going to try and start growing seeds, which will spawn more mobiles, but thankfully we won't need to worry about that. And best of all, we prevented that nasty bad breath. So yeah, the easy version of the dungeon that no one likes in this game. And that brings us to our 13th and final dungeon, the level 50 Wanderer's Palace. So, Wanderer's Palace is actually very interesting because this is the domain of the Tonberries. If you're familiar with previous Final Fantasy games, you're probably familiar with the Tonberries, the little green creatures that hold the dagger and the knife and the lanterns. But what's really interesting about the Tonberries in Final Fantasy XIV is that they're one of the enemies that actually has a surprising amount of lore attached to them. You'd be amazed if you take on the role of the scholar, if you do the scholar's job in this game, you will be amazed how much lore is associated with Tonberries. It's really mind-blowing, and you really need to see it for yourself, if you ever get the chance. So just make our way through everything here. We don't need to worry about these enemies all behind us, because, yeah, we'll just kite them like all the others. Right, now that everything's together, let's not just fix everything. Now it is possible, depending on what the enemies that we kill, to get this door to open early, which we did. So yeah, that'll thin out the numbers a bit. And make our way over to our first mini-boss, who greets me by inhaling. Yeah, here's where we need to use legitimate tactics as opposed to just what we've been doing already. Oh, he survived. But not anymore. So now we have to start opening these Nimian devices. These allow us to gain access to more of the dungeon. And now here's where the Tonberries are really going to be required. We need to kill some of them in order to obtain their oil, because they're needed later on down the line. Don't aggro. Yes. Alright, don't need to worry about those pugils. More often than not, you will have to put up with them. Alright, let's bring everyone together. And then once they're all down, the 2 Tonberries that are there alive, we can just take their lantern oil. And then we'll go ahead and hit the devices. So now once we get this door open, there's going to be a speed element a legit speed element. We need to get over to the device here as quickly as we can. And then once that happens, we're going to have to hope and pray that we do not have to deal with those things on the right. Giant blue tomberries. Because they will wander around and they cannot be killed. They cannot be killed, and so we have to make sure that we can do away with them as fast as we can. Alright. So now, backflip down here. So now I want these tomberries to follow me just this far. And once they're out of the way, then we finish these Nimians off. Alright, so now we have to pick up one oil. Because, yeah, you see how close that one guy is? Yeah, if he catches sight of us, we're screwed. And, well, he caught sight of us, but not in time. Yeah, if he stays on his feet, or if he gets close to us fast enough, we have to draw him away, and that just eats up a lot of time. That just eats up a lot of time, and it's no good. So hit this device, and now we can make our way to the boss. So yeah, I might remember the various puddings from Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, they're back. In fact, we already saw some in Total Rack already. Let's hope we can kill off these Nimians. Couldn't quite get that one, but that's fine. Alright, we are coming up on the end of this dungeon and thus the end of the run. Yeah, it won't be long now. So let's bring over the tomberries. Because, yeah, we have to hop ourselves to more of their oil. Alright, let's pick up the last two flasks of oil and take on the final boss, which will be the Tomberry King. So time ends when we successfully not only defeat him, but also leave the dungeon. So time stops when we're out of the dungeon. So let's make our way in there right now and make an example of the Tomberry King and dethrone him. Alright, so we'll start here with a quick spell cast. Oh, that was a really good time. And time ends now. And so, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. 13 dungeons of the 2.0 Light Party variety, done all solo as a Red Mage, and done in pretty good time. Like, an hour and 4 minutes for me is actually much faster than the estimate. My personal best is just under an hour 2. So this is actually a pretty good time for me. This is actually my debut in Speedrun Marathon, so I knew that there were definitely going to be some pressure involved when we did this, but I'm really grateful to everyone here at North American Speedrunners Association for welcoming me into this marathon. And I got great news earlier today before I came on the air that I'll be taking part in another online speedrun marathon next month, so this will not be the last you hear of me as far as playing this game online for a whole bunch of people on Twitch is concerned. It's really my desire, especially as we come to the end of what's known as Stormblood, the current expansion, to really get the word out and show everyone this is what the game is like now, and this is what it's all about. And there's a new expansion coming out in July, so there's a lot of hype and anticipation for it, and we really want to show this off to as much people as possible and find creative ways to do it, and speedrunning is definitely one such way. So thanks to everyone who is watching right now on the North American Speedrunners channel. Thanks to the admins for putting this all together. And I hope that everyone else who comes after me has a wonderful run. I hope that everyone's watching has a wonderful evening and enjoys the remaining runs. So come follow me on Twitch. Come follow me on YouTube. I would love to make some new friends and make some new acquaintances, get new viewers. If you ever want to come and play this game for yourself, we are based on the North American data center known as Primal, and our server is Exodus. We have a free company. This game's version...
1, 2, 3, 4.